So episode 7 of the Pursuit for Meaning. So today I have interesting friend of mine. I think we know each other for some time, like maybe 8 years,
around
7 8 years, yeah. And so but we never really spoke to each other maybe up to maybe like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Probably 2-3 years ago lah. Yeah. So I know Lati for some time, and always when there was always like the good part of social media is always somehow you know what this fella is doing about, you know, and somehow the algorithm leads you there lah, you know, leads you to that thing lah, which maybe for this is one of the problems I had also when I went to the farm. So whenever we were talking to the pastor, the planes are like passing by lah.
Is it the Paya Lebar airbase?
I think so. But I used to cut it. The brake pocket I cut. So now I just forget it lah. Just let it go. Raw.
Raw and uncut.
Raw and uncut. Just think about it. We just finished National Day, right?
Yeah. Maybe routine that 5 months.
I thought like 5 o'clock, time to go back home already.
Flying home.
Flying home. No more flying after some time.
All the way they stay.
Hopefully now is I think that's their final one lah. So anyway, so we the good part of the Facebook is somehow we are connected to each other lah, in a sense lah. And you know what it was all about. So personally, I always like see you into like digital marketing and stuff like that lah. Yep. So that was some time already, for like for many years I've been seeing that, you know, connected to the online world and stuff like that. And then I guess that's what's my experience of you lah, you know, like this digital online guy, you know, digital who like he knows his like this internet stuff lah, which I feel is an asset lah, you know, especially in our time like if you know how deep the internet goes, not just what we understand of the idea of internet, what we have, right? I mean, the majority people have a perception of what internet is, like, but people who know what the internet is, they don't see the internet the same way as the other people. Would you agree to that? Something like that?
Yeah, actually, because there's always the perception of things and then the thing itself. So with the internet, it started out sometime in the 1980s also, as a government project by the US, and then things develop, layers develop on top of it, and then it became commercialized and more like consumerized. So it is what it is today lah. But there will always be things that are outside the inventor's control, and things that are within their control. So there are forces at play now where we have these things like people who want to have a freer internet, an internet that is free of those big corporations that monetize it through advertising and all that. Which also brings in another element of, you know, mass control or mass manufacturing of perceptions on people's minds. A freer internet in a sense, and also at the same time these forces that want to impose more control, but in the name of like making it a more safer space for people to interact. So
it's always like this idea in between. But it was interesting. I do not think the person who invented the internet or came up with the internet had known like it will become this. You think? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I don't even know who actually invented the internet. So some people say it was the guy, what's his guy? Al Gore.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, one of the vice presidents, or could be someone else, or could be I forgot the names already lah.
But you think he will expect the internet to be like how it is today? Like, okay, for example, like I would say, like, the majority of people will think like the internet is just like, okay, I go online, I just go to Google or Yahoo, search whatever I want, and then it comes out, and then whatever I did that has no effect on when I go to YouTube. And they don't see the link, and then what I see in YouTube affects what I see on Facebook. And what I see on Facebook affects the kind of ads that comes out on your search. So I don't think majority people like knows that, like really knows that. And is it something true?
It is. I don't think a majority would know, or maybe some people are starting to know already, but it's not something that they really care about. Only a few people would really care about that, the implications and impact of that.
Like what would you think?
So like if this is a private conversation,
Yeah.
like we talk about these topics and then our phones are near us,
Yeah.
I have also seen like sometimes we talk about a particular topic,
Yeah.
then suddenly Instagram I see there's one advertisement about the topic we talk about. Yeah, so I was talking to someone, then somehow or other the conversation about Portuguese come up, like randomly come up. So we just talk about the Portuguese language.
Yeah.
Then the next day I saw an advertisement on Instagram about investing in Portugal to get citizenship.
Wow.
Like there's no link at all. I didn't research in Google about Portugal or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it happens many times. It's not coincidence anymore.
Yeah.
It's even already been sort of made known
Yeah.
to the public, and whether the public knows about it or not is
Yeah.
another matter lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the real internet. I mean, what we have today lah.
There is a slice of the real internet. There's a slice of the real internet. There are forces that want to shape where the internet goes.
Yeah.
So the internet is a tool where people can use it, and as with any tool, right, you can use it for different purposes, like for good or for
Bad, yeah.
for bad purposes, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, you also have to see a tool objectively. It serves a certain function.
Yeah.
So if you're aware of the different ways that a tool can be used,
Yeah.
you can also use that tool against the people who might
Yeah.
want to use the same tool against your interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of discussions about this kind of thing, like whether the internet, the social media was a mistake. So I saw a YouTube video recently which has sort of a very clickbaity title. They said, was the internet a mistake, or say the internet was a mistake,
Yeah.
with the face of Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay.
Yeah, but the whole thing is not really about internet was a mistake or not, but how the internet has developed into a tool that can be used for control by certain powers that be by certain forces.
And that's why I think one of the interesting people don't realize, like this, when you look in that angle, government don't have access like that as a private company has, Yeah. So in that kind of perspective, like POFMA does make a sense on some aspect lah. For example, this having like censorship in that sense, like it's important because we don't want to allow the corporations to get full control.
Yeah.
And but also the government also knows that how dangerous corporation can be to political agenda, right?
Yeah. I think we are being POFMA'd by the
we being jet right now. Two of them. The one way. Can see it. Your house got that?
No. My cousin's house near Bule Jurong ada.
Yeah.
Bukit Batok don't have.
So you just have to tahan this few timings a day,
Yeah.
that they will come and just.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're saying so like there, I guess there is a balance in the internet in that sense lah. Sometimes the government has to come into interfere so that the corporations do not have full control of the people in that sense lah.
Yeah.
Right? And then like for you knowing this, like this how do you, and then most of your businesses are internet based. Kurang. Okay guys. Cannot invest in a studio yet. But maybe we go to my house, inshallah soon. We
After
have it there.
renovation.
Yeah. Inshallah.
You stay around
Tampines.
yeah. Tampines don't have this.
Don't have. Yeah. Tampines don't have. But don't have this furniture.
Yeah. Okay lah.
Different setup lah.
You just carry this furniture too.
So saying like you as a, like one thing you are is a confirm, like for me lah, how I see you is that you are entrepreneur even in the digital scene lah.
Yeah.
You have many businesses, many businesses interest in the online sector, online part, like e-commerce, everything. You have your hand in basically, or you understand the different aspects of the internet, and then you know how to thread your way around there lah.
Yeah.
I would say that lah.
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah. So in your mind, like how do you navigate the digital world knowing that there is all of these other things around, no? Like how this our data is actually being used, how do you do it?
I would say, okay, so different people would have different approach to this reality. If they know about it, if they're aware about it.
Yeah.
So some people, they are very privacy focused. They would really like use, they like to do this kind of, they cover up their laptop camera, because they know the laptop camera can be used to spy on them. Or if they want to talk about sensitive topics, they put their phone in the microwave. I'm not sure whether that would come up. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like for me, I don't see the need. Of course, certain things have to be kept private.
Yeah.
Right? I don't really see the need to hide as long as like you live in a relatively, or rather above board kind of life. Right? You're not doing like illegal stuff, or you're not doing something that will be considered illegal or unethical, stuff like that. There's nothing to hide. And certain private things about your life is also common and universal amongst all human beings. Right? So, but at the same time, I'm also aware that corporations, when they have access to this information and data, they can use it to tailor messages and ads to influence your decisions in life and choices. So it's not just commercial choices like what products you want to buy, but also like
lifestyle,
potentially political and lifestyle as well. So like if you are not accustomed, let's say you are a like traditional or conservative kind of person, then you're not accustomed to living a certain kind of lifestyle, which is like a bit more liberal, I would say, for example. Not putting any judgment on any kind of lifestyle here, but let's say you have a conversation with a friend on any kind of topic which is geared to more towards this kind of a different lifestyle that you're not accustomed to. And then the algorithm misinterprets your conversation and feeds you ads and more information about that particular lifestyle you were talking about, which can be also kind of a slippery slope, where if you go down that so-called rabbit hole, in that sense,
you might not come out lah.
No lah. It depends also on the person. So like if you are particularly you have a strong stand, you have a strong viewpoint about life, you have a strong ethical viewpoint, you adhere to a certain faith or certain worldview, right? Where you have an ethical standpoint which is quite strong. The risk of going through those experiences damaging you in a sense is very, very extremely low. Right? But at the same time, you need to have and develop a certain level of
perspective.
Perspective is one. Also like discipline, sense of like
certainty.
Certainty, yes, certainty is one thing. How do I put it? More like having a very clear view of things. So
you need that.
You need that. You need to have sort of an anchor or a lighthouse, to use that metaphor, amidst all these clouds that's covering your view. So like we are now living in times whereby there's a lot of things going on, mass deception, manipulation, and it can get very confusing.
Tweakings of truth.
Yes.
I would say that's one of the major things we have in our age. The tweaking of truth.
Tweaking of truth.
Like they give the true event and they give different perspective around it.
Or they purposely hide certain parts of it
to
give different perspective. So my train of thought goes a bit away.
No, but
I'm saying, having that so-called macam beacon of light, the North Star, the guiding star, is very important, especially now. Like,
exactly.
We are in an age where people are always like, sort of recommended to make your own path in life. Whatever you dream about, just go after your dreams, go after your whatever you want. Which has its value, but at the same time, like, what is that path in life you want to go after based on? Like, what's the foundation?
Exactly. And if you bring it to that, right, it's so interesting. That means like sometimes giving the internet, this makes sense of why you give internet to a kid. It's very, very problematic.
Potentially,
right? Because they don't have a yardstick or a determining factor to choose which one is wrong and right. For example, you haven't built imprint on their mind yet, right? And so you give them the internet just like that without any supervision or guidance in that sense, you can turn them into a person you can never imagine, because you get what I'm trying to say?
Exactly.
So that's why it's scary.
Like our generation is a bit we are kind of safe, lucky in a sense, because those of us born in the 80s, 90s, the millennial or whatever the term now is, we started out from a traditional kind of upbringing. We started out with books, and most of us, our parents teach us values and all that. Then as we grow up, we encountered the internet as a new thing. Not as we didn't start out with the internet.
Exactly.
Then from there, because we have this solid foundation in a sense, we are relatively more able to sort of navigate our way through
in the
this.
safe zone lah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But of course, there will also be exceptions.
Mm.
And at the same time, on the other hand, I'm also of the opinion that a certain level of flexibility is also good. Like, if we are too much into one end of the spectrum, where it's very traditional kind of upbringing, everything is fixed from the get-go, and you cannot like change the box that you are in around. And you go through life with this box around you. It's also very limiting. It limits your experience.
For sure.
So everything that you experience has a function. So you have a box, or you have a guiding light. It has a function, but ultimately it's not about that thing controlling you or consuming you. But you use it as a tool. But ultimately, what you want to do with it is depending on you.
So it's very interesting that we started like how like the internet is just an internet, and how in the internet is something which like like is directly connected to how we live our life also. Like sometimes what you search is as though like the internet is telling who you are is what the advertisements comes out. Is it like you can somehow like engage where you're at in life by just looking at your adverts that you have on the site like that. And it's quite scary lah, to know that if we don't have this like certainty, we are able to be manipulated by corporations or whatever it is to fit a certain idea that they might want, and so that's why it's so important to find that beacons, find the beacons of light which you were referring to.
It is also interesting, like in a sense, it is possible that the Google algorithm or the Facebook algorithm knows more about you than maybe your closest friends or family. So because of your private thoughts tend to be manifested in the search patterns and whatever you're looking at and whatever you're consuming.
And so it's so interesting because it's like do you really know if you wanted to write that post? You know what I'm trying to say? Is this question? No, it's like it's something which I think about. Like one thing you can ask yourself, like why do you like? You could be another marketing tool, that you're a good marketing tool, I can use, I know you are quite vocal, so, to give out your perspective in this. Everything is possible, in this. Do you think it's at that level?
Can you repeat that again? Elaborate
like
a bit more.
The amount of control that they have on you, is it in the part where they can even influence what you do on internet?
In a certain sense, because the way the web now functions is an interactive two-way conversation. So it's like a conversation. Whereas previously the TV medium, the radio medium is one way. So in a two-way conversation, you have to expect and elicit or solicit a response from the other party. But you can have a two-way conversation whereby you ask certain questions or give certain images and messages which will always veer towards a certain kind of response. You can control those responses even though it's a two-way kind of thing. So ultimately, it is up to you to be aware that although it's a two-way conversation, the other party can also be manipulative in a sense. So if you're aware of the other party's game, you can sort of transcend the game and
look at it separate from yourself, and give it what they think it wants in that sense. It's quite interesting. It's even it's like so-called an enlightenment from the internet algorithm. Like this matrix agenda, like you come out of it. Right.
It's kind of true. So every new technology that comes to the forefront that supposedly liberates people from a previous age or previous era, right, will always have certain mechanisms inside it to still control people. So it's just a new way, a new strategy, a game of controlling people. And to be like it's one thing lah. Like I know the internet has that kind of control on like us as individuals, whether we like it or we don't think it is. This is the truth lah. And if you do a bit of research and you understand like like the using the internet has a lot of sacrifices lah, in a sense. Your privacy, like you have to be above your privacy already, the kind of things, and then if not, we are always susceptible to being manipulated, and then this idea of creating this commercial human being that will spend money, consumer people lah, and it's so easy to become that person lah if you are not aware of how you use the internet. Would you do something like that? So
it's crazy, man.
An interesting
is this conspiracy theory?
it could be. So the interesting point is like sometimes when you see people announce on social media, which is sometimes I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
They say, "Hey guys, I think I found the purpose of my life. I want to be a vegan."
Yeah.
Okay, no judgments there, whatever. Or I want to be hold a certain worldview.
Yeah.
Or I think keto diet is the way, or paleo diet is the way.
Yeah.
Or I believe in this kind of political concept.
Yeah.
For example, and then they frame it or they communicate it in such a way as if it is their their natural being. It is something that they've always wanted it for a long time, and then they've been put in a shell. Then now they break out the shell and they say, "Oh, now I'm free. This is now my true self. I'm a socialist, vegan, keto diet, whatever." You know? But if you think about it, like, is it really that person goes through a certain process where he or she discovers that for himself or herself very valid in a valid way, or is it because
she was marketed?
There was influences from what he or she consumes? I think at the same time also you cannot also like sort of dismiss or dispel the validity of outside influences, because influences from outside in your life serve a certain purpose. Right. So like if you don't receive external guidance, sometimes you will be lost.
Correct.
So external guidance is there. Internal guidance is another thing. So this goes to another topic already. I don't know if I want to go there yet.
That's on the information part.
Where were we?
No, you were talking about how the internet has like this influence on you, and then if you don't have a guidance, for example, in the internet, that's where you might be lost. You might be lost without external guidance. So it could be a chance encounter with someone online that gives you a choice or possibility of a different life path that will be more, I guess, more happy for you, more fulfilling for you. Right? It happens a lot of times. Like my friends, even myself, like a lot of the friendships, like is from the internet. Even I met my wife from the internet, but of course there's a connection with like other outside people. But it became a good tool lah.
It became a good thing. So you have to be aware of it and recognize the thing as a tool and only as a tool, and to use it, not for it to use you.
To be enslaved by it. And it's very interesting because that connects also to like Heidegger's talk on technology. You know? He says that technology is supposed to be a means and not the end. But then and you are supposed to have mastery over it. The one who has master over technology, he is free from it. But like example would be like, for example, if I mastered the function of a clock, right, and the clock breaks down, I can fix it. So I am the master of the clock. Whatever happens to the clock, finish. Just give me 5 minutes, it's done. So I have mastered it. I'm free from it. I cannot be like, oh no, there's no more clock. I have to buy a new clock. So I think this was the idea lah. Like everything in our life, every technology, everything that we have in our life, we are like have to be free from it in that sense. Like you have to have mastery over it, so that you're not dependent on it in that sense. You will still be able to be manipulated or dependent or something.
In a sense, that's also how I see the view from the Islamic viewpoint of humankind being the Khalifa of the earth. So we are placed here to sort of shape the world in a way that is very optimal to flourish human life and in service of the Creator. And to use things, but not to be enslaved by things. So the only so-called submission we have is towards the Creator. Towards Allah.
And that is the inevitable submission you have to do. Because at the end of the day, you're always dependent. You will be a slave or something. You have to choose the right slave to be off. Did you agree with that?
Yes.
Good. But the interesting part is, coming to the idea has many variants. Right? There's many ways you can get it by. And which something which I've been celebrating lah recently. Like having finally like realizing. Like sometimes like we go through this part where you know the good, why you should do this good thing, but you don't know the reasons of why you should do it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
Right.
Doing a good thing, but you don't know the reason why.
It's good, but you don't feel like I should really do it because it's like previously lah, I mean, this is what I went through lah. When I knew I had to do something good, or this is good, it's preferable, but I always choose the lesser thing. Because why I like, you know, like I don't want to do this good. I don't know the reasons of why I should do this good thing lah, right? So once you know the reasons, like you realize that you do not need the reasons of why you need to go do this good thing, then everything makes sense lah. You know, like meeting people, you know, saying sorry, you know, forgiving people without a reason. You know, this kind of idea. That's how I understood it, and I feel like that is one of the most important things for us lah. Like this understanding of being Muslims is that kind of person where you are always like always free in what you do. You find this freedom in that sense from this world, in order that you can be true slave of Allah in that kind of thing.
Yes. There's different pathways to approach that. Every person's life is different. To go through that, and ultimately, I think every journey is about that. So it's whether we realize it or not, whether the individual realize it or not. Every story, right, I would say, like if you are a housewife or if you're a mother, and the so-called stereotypical storyline for a mother is to get married, have children, take care of the house and all that. But even in that itself has a purpose and has lessons in it. And it has no, how to say, lesser or more value than another person who have a different experience. So let's say a person like a woman or a man who doesn't get married for some reasons, but he or she would go through different life experiences. They will always like teach something about him and give him or her growth. In the sense. So it's just about awareness, whether you know that this is the case and what is the outcome of it after that.
And this is something which everyone must do lah, like making sense of that lah. Because if we don't make sense of that, we feel very bleak. Don't you think so?
So I tend to now question a lot of the narratives or a lot of these messages that are sort of broadcast for the past few years, where, you know, everyone is told to, like, especially the youth. So they market this to the youths, you know, to the young people, say, find your path, find your destiny, or you should be a successful entrepreneur. You should try to aim for a billionaire. You should try to aim to be a millionaire, or become a famous actor, or refine your talents. And then they create unrealistic expectations. So when these expectations are not met, people encounter sadness. They encounter potentially crippling mental states of health. But if you know that every life path is valid, there will be certain things you can control, certain things you cannot control. But you can control at least your awareness, your knowledge, your skill sets, what you can do around you. It is far more fulfilling than, you know, trying to go for something that is not reachable.
I think this is the scary part lah. Why I believe that so many people are unhappy. You know, just to connect it back to the start, right? Like why so many people are unhappy is because the things they watch online, the things that they do online, you know, and what they read, the videos that they consume, give them an impression of life. You know, give them an impression of what success is. Give them and they don't realize it. You know, give impression. So many impressions or so many perspective, and then when they look at their true self, this is what they've been sold into. And then their true self look at it like, you find this disparity. Like, I cannot be this successful person. This idea of what this people have been marketing, I cannot be this person. And then he becomes depressed because, like, you know, like, I cannot become that person, man. You know, I've been sold this idea of a success online as this, like this successful person, millionaire, you be whatever you want to be, vegan, feminist, LGBT, whatever it is lah. You know, I've been sold this idea, and then I realized that, no, man, I'm not happy, but I bought into this whole thing, you know. But my true self is not at peace with it lah. And then sometimes I feel like a lot of depression that people is because of this. Like, you don't realize that how influenced are you from the outside world, you know. And then when you are not authentic in that sense, you are a product. You know, people have sold you into becoming who you are, and you don't realize what you've been sold into. You know, it's okay to wear the products, but if you know that you wanted it, it's a different story from you being sold it, you know. And then because they don't find this true connection with what they are pursuing, this product that they're going for, or this look that they're going for, they find a contradiction. And so after like 3 years, 4 years, they leave it, you know, and they go something new, you know. Yeah. What do you think about that? You know, and the major part of depression in this world is also connected to how
maybe I can be a devil's advocate a bit, because sometimes, like for me personally, how to say, I pursue things, certain things, then I achieve those things, achieve those goals.
Yeah.
I do find myself happy, or how do I put it? There were things that could have been influenced to me, which I wanted to do. Then I go after it, I get it.
Yeah.
Then I find myself happy, even though it's externally influenced, not really what I want to do. But I learned that because, you know, maybe at in the initial stages, I did not like it because I did not know, I was not aware. So like someone told me, okay, this particular path is better for you. Maybe you go through this path, and then actually end up, actually it's good for me. Yeah. And some of the stuff where I believe I really want it, I really want to get this thing. Then when I finally get it, I'm not that happy to get it. Yeah. So it depends also, because it starts out from that awareness. What is it that would make you happy? And then you also have to question, like, what is actually happiness? Like, what would make you happy, and what is happiness?
Yeah.
So people can define happiness in different things. Like, some people define happiness as fulfillment of expectations, fulfillment of goals, fulfillment of basic fulfillment of things. Like what you expect, you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what if happiness means you want what you already got? So instead of getting what you want makes you happy, you want what you already got. That means you desire, you appreciate what you already have. That's happiness already.
Yeah.
And the other thing, or the other like kind of definition of happiness is happiness, the true happiness, or people say genuine happiness, or the more fulfilled kind of happiness, can be found in fulfilling others, in service to others, rather than just like being happy for yourself. Yeah. So there's a certain connection between self and others as well. Thing.
So
What do you think is happiness? Like, what is your view?
I think I will go with being like having like happiness for me is having like realizing that I have no expectations of me. You know, like, you know, I have no, how to say, like, that I only have to be worried of one thing in my life, which is what Allah thinks of me. For example, that's the only thing lah. Like that's the most important part lah. Right? So like if you realize that, for example, if being able to free that from yourself, like me realizing that whatever I do or want might not be true. I give you example why. Example. For many days, for many months, I have been thinking in my head, because I see a lot of parrots flying in Singapore. Like when I go to Changi Beach, there's a lot of parrots, you know. So I always tell my wife, you know, how do I catch this parrot? I want to catch one of this parrot and keep home and take care of it, you know, and stuff like that. I've been thinking about it a few months. I usually watch like YouTube videos and how to catch this parrot. And then yesterday, I came back home. The parrot was in my lift,
Sometimes happens.
Yeah. And then I realized, like, that is so interesting. You know, like how did this parrot landed in my lift injured? Like the wings, one of the wings was clipped, and it was on the floor. And it's the same parrot that I was thinking about for many months lah. So I was like, I was shocked. Like, oh my god, you know, this parrot. You know, I was thinking about it for sometimes. And then I realized, like actually every time is like that, man. Like I couldn't. How this moment of me doing that, I can rationalize some things, you know. Like, but things come to your life, and it's always like the parrot for me. Is that idea came suddenly out of nowhere, ikan. And I have no control of it. I just had the idea of it, you know. What I'm gonna do. That's all I had.
And the situation, how it came about, is interesting.
Yeah,
also, right?
And but the realize is I had no control. I had no control of how this parrot just came a few days yesterday. And I had no control about how, like, like my wife would react to me if I said this, or how you would react if I said this, and how everyone in the world, I had no control, right? So in that sense, like I the only thing I had was the thing in my head lah. So when I realized that I don't have to, because I cannot control the reaction, there's only one thing I can control, which is my reaction, my head, how I'm gonna do it, right? So when I realized that, I feel like being free from that people other expectation, and how you choose that thing you choose for yourself, that is true happiness lah. That you are finally free lah. You are free from everyone around you. You know, they're free from the people's expectation, but you are enslaved to like Allah. I feel that is happiness for me lah.
Yeah.
What were you in that too? What do you think about that?
I had another train of thought, but I come back to yours. So the way the parrot came to you, and the fact that the parrot came to you is also a lesson. Yeah. So it could be a lesson. I don't know what the lesson is, but there will always be a lesson. So like it could be like something. Okay, so this is what you want now. Your wish. No, I want to say your wish is like. So as you wish, so the parrot come to you. Then maybe the situation wants to teach you something like. Are you going to take care of the parrot? How well I'm going to take care of the parrot?
Exactly.
And the fact it comes to doesn't mean it belongs to you. It's just like it's being lent to you. Like a loan or something.
And everything in life is like that.
And later it will go away. So it come and goes.
Gila. And that is how you connect it to your children, your wives, your everyone. And then you are just alone lah in this.
Everything is borrowed. Everything is just given to you for you to use or learn from, in a sense.
And that's something that we interesting. We landed through the internet lah. I just want to that is so interesting. Like how the initial idea of having control of the internet, will lead us to that kind of person. But it is interesting for me because I realize that so many things are interconnected. Right? Like something like we find it so like irrelevant is so connected to how I am. How you am.
I see that a lot now. Like a lot of things happening. It's too often now that it's not coincidental anymore. So you cannot
say it's coincidental. It's like certain.
Yes, I know.
But then you cannot. I cannot use this word when anymore coincidental.
Is if I say to this any lay person on the street, a layman on the street, they'll think I'm crazy. But there's so many things that happen in my life where the coincidence can't be called coincidence anymore. It's just like something is just planning my life.
For sure.
So another thing I want to say just now, I don't know if it's related or not, about being free, right? You say you want to be free and only being enslaved to Allah. Okay. So the thing is, if you think about your podcast is called Pursuit of Meaning. Right. So what is meaning actually?
Meaning is the realization of that.
No. Okay. So what's the definition of meaning in the dictionary sense?
I don't know.
My understanding. Okay. So I mean, I didn't look up the dictionary, but if you like think about the just an intuitive understanding of what the word meaning means, it just means the meaning of a word means what that word denotes, what that word points to, or what that word limits. So like, what is the meaning of a cup? What is a cup? A cup is
it bears water.
It holds water. Or like, how do you differentiate one thing from another?
It's by words
by words, right?
So by words, and which the language bears its meaning lah.
So like how you experience life, how you experience being is through language. So like Heidegger said, language, the house of being, is language. And there is no other way you to experience being actually. Right? Maybe there is. I haven't go to that level yet. I don't know. But most of us go through life through language. Even like Helen Keller, when she was vision and hearing impaired, she experienced life at least through the language of touch. Right? Okay, so what differentiates A and B is a limitation. So A is not equal to B. So when I say A is A, it means A is not B. Right? So that limitation actually is the one of the, how to say, foundations of meaning. So you find meaning through a limitation. When you limit yourself to something, the meaning of the thing is limited by it. So life is defined by death, the opposite of it, like the limitation of it. So I'm thinking like just now, and when people say like you find the meaning of your life, or you find the meaning of something, or let's say you find the meaning of your life, it frees you.
Yeah.
So you are liberated because you find meaning of your life.
Yeah.
So that is interesting because like something that is limiting will also free you.
Yep.
Yeah. So like people
Yeah.
tend to not see this
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they think like freedom being an absolute, they just want freedom, but they don't want that other things that should be that comes along with that freedom.
Yeah. They feel like, I think one is the idea that I want to be free means I can do whatever I want.
Yeah,
right?
that's one thing.
So that's the thing they don't realize, because if you think that whatever I want is good for you, it means you haven't thought properly. You get what I'm saying? This I would say that lah. You know, you haven't really thought it through. You just went surface level lah. The first initial thought I think lah for me lah, when I was going through this process, right, I was like, freedom for me is doing whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like that, in that kind of language, is whatever kind of statement, like I just want to do, let loose and do whatever I want.
Yeah.
That's my first thought of freedom lah.
Yeah.
Being growing up, you know. But then when you learn and then you study and then you learn from people who understand these things, or who is pointing out to this direction, then you realize, that the freedom I had was actually not really freedom lah, you know. I was like influenced by so many things, you know, around me, right? And then when I realized what true freedom is, when you learn and then you want to understand why you are here in this world, somehow that word freedom becomes more smaller and more smaller and more smaller, but you see how big it is, even though it's small. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I can get the sense.
Sorry, I just went on the tangent.
So like when people have a childish or amateurish understanding of freedom, a grasp of the concept of freedom, they're actually constrained by invisible prison bars of different wants and desires, which is most of it externally influenced. On the other hand, when you limit your freedom, how do I say?
Control lah, I think.
Control freedom. Another level above that is basically freedom is defined by not being constrained by anything for you to go after what you want. So that's another level where the first level of freedom, or the first level of understanding of freedom, is like just want to do whatever I want. So that whatever you want is very undefined. So now you focus on what you really want, which is one or a couple of things only, a small group of things. Then that's a bit more refined. It's better than I just want to do whatever I want.
More tasting, more value also.
There's a bit more value lah. So it could be whatever you want, but it's just a limited set of things that you want, and then you're not constrained. So you're also free from distractions against what you really want. It could be anything. Then the ultimate level is like to look at what you really want. Is what you really want something that will be the purpose of your life, the fulfillment of your life? Exactly. So once you know that, and then everything else that comes are just distractions you can just set aside. And then that's where the fulfillment comes lah.
So interesting. It's as though and even business people can use this idea also. You know, like for example, if that's why these kind of ideas are even sold to like business people, you know. You can say like, you must focus on one business that you want to do, you know. Right? You have to don't focus on anything else, one straight one, you know. So they are using this idea, but then now it's about you choosing which one is the best goal lah. Like you have to ask yourself like, what is the best goal lah.
There's another like sort of development on top of that. So I was also thinking along these lines, like should we tell all the people of the world, okay, the only purpose of life is to serve God, then everything else is just to serve that purpose? I think there's also another problem to that level, because the message that you put across is not really developed yet. So there has to be some kind of hierarchy and structure and maybe levels to it. So like, if the ultimate goal of human life is to serve God, and how do you serve God? Like what's the manifestation, or what is the view of serving God? Right? Is to build up civilizations, or to build up human relationships and all that are flourishing for human life, serves justice, equal to everyone, takes care of nature, and people basically elevate their spiritual levels, their wisdom, to learn more about the wonders of God.
But one, I just want to say something. That idea just the impression when I feel that people have of this person is a person who looks religious.
Okay, in what sense?
Like this idea, majority of people will say like, okay, this person who serves God, you know, who is religious, you know, all this example. When they close their eyes, they see a person wearing like probably a very religious garb. You know,
Yeah,
yes,
probably, yeah, okay.
like a priest lah,
Yeah.
like a priest or ustad,
Yeah.
or you know, like they look at the world, look at this in their mind, whatever you're saying, in how you understand it, is that person. Is this person with a religious garb, with a long beard, or
Yeah.
if it's, you know, it's a priest. So they think that for me to be religious or be whatever we are talking about, being serving God, is becoming like that. The image they have.
Yeah, that's one way.
Yeah.
There's only one way.
Yeah, that's one way.
Yeah.
That's just one way, and that's this realization that you can be you now. You don't have to be anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be anybody
Yeah.
else. You know, you can just be you.
Yeah.
And serving God. You know, but because that I feel liberates so many people. Like a cleaner, not saying it's a bad thing. He is elevated to be able to find God in a way that people never imagined he could.
Yeah.
Same like a priest could, same like a CEO could, same as anybody, you know. But as long as the way he does it, or the way he projects himself, is truly sincere to God lah.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually, I was going to there. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You're going there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thinking light.
So, what I wanted to say is,
Finishing sentences now.
Yeah.
sorry.
So you have that like foundation of everything, one foundation, one purpose,
Yeah.
and everything else can come into play to serve that purpose.
Yeah.
So there is that diversity in the unity as well. So there's a variety in that unity as well.
Yeah.
So it's not about the monolithic kind of like fundamental
One way or the highway,
totalitarian kind of thing. You know? So you can have a variety of human experiences, as long as the human experiences do not go against certain things that might limit the human flourishing, or limit or go against God's laws and all that. Then it's fine. So there can be a variety and diversity in human experiences, as long as they are within that frame and context of serving that purpose.
Like what do you think is a limiter of that loss?
Limiter of the loss.
Like, for example, like when you said just now, like cannot transgress God's law and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what is the amount of things you can do lah? What is it? How you should look at the world lah? Was it through like a merciful God, and the limitations of that with a wrathful God? You know, like.
Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting topic. There's also a validity and a value in the diversity of viewing that. So the idea of a merciful God and also a punishing God, right? So some people believe the mercy encompasses his wrath, right? Which is also true. It's a hadith qudsi, right? If I'm mistaken. And how you understand that, people will understand it differently. So some people will debate or argue or have friendly conversations. Like some scholars will say, ultimately the idea that people who go through the punishment in the hereafter, there's a limit to the punishment of the hereafter, and then later on everybody will eventually go to paradise. So that's one view. Then the other view is some people they are stuck in the punishment because of their limited way of thinking, because of their own self-imposed mind. Or self-imposed whatever choices, right? So
they wanted to be there.
They want to be there.
This one the clear-cut guys they really wanted to be there.
They really, I don't know, sadistic or what, they really enjoy being punished or something like that. Even though they know like there's a direct correlation or direct causation between their actions and the punishment they are receiving.
They wanted to be there lah, these guys. Somewhat like that.
So there's still some validity and value in this kind of different viewpoints. And maybe ultimately in our lifetime we will not know the answers to some of these like difficult questions, but eventually they will be answered one day. So
even that is a mystery of why you choose that lah. Right, and you only know like, for example, we have like 5 options lah. Like this option. There's no way that we all in this world can find the true answers of these 5 questions. Because it's overlapping, you know, and stuff like that. But what is the determining factor for me lah? How you choose these answers, it's your will lah. You know, because it's 5 options. I give you 5 options. Now you choose the best lah in your expression, you know. So at the end of the day, you will still be judged by your this will that you choose, you know.
That's interesting. So hypothetically, what if a person A chooses a wrong choice, but he authentically and sincerely thinks his choice is correct based on his assessment and thinking and all
that.
So
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
yeah, so like
Yeah.
yeah. So there's always like this kind of space or leeway in thinking about these things.
Yeah.
So there's not always a black and white answer.
Yeah.
Certain things have to be black and white, like
Yeah.
murdering is wrong, of course.
Yeah.
Stealing is wrong and all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But
But
certain things
it's
have
so
a lot of
interesting
leeway.
today that this fixed ideas like what a boy girl or boy is or a man is and what a woman is,
Yeah.
a female, a man, a male and a female, these words are now losing its meaning.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. And because of that, it's losing is what it really is supposed to mean is becomes like split apart. The meaning is separated or being corrupted. You see a direct shift in public perspective. Do you agree to that?
I don't know if I agree or not, but I mean, like, how do I see this? The meanings are shifting. Yes, correct. Meanings are shifting.
Yeah.
What it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be happy, not happy, successful,
Yeah.
not successful.
Yeah.
What it means to be a male or
Yeah.
female
Yeah.
is also shifting.
Yeah.
So why are these meanings shifted?
Yeah.
So if we look back on history, we used to have. So this one I'm just randomly like
Yeah.
putting this in. So
Yeah.
I could be wrong. People used to think the sun revolves around the earth and the earth is flat. Like, what does it mean when you say world? So the world, they mean maybe just China or maybe just England or maybe just the land they belong to. That's the
Yeah.
world to them.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be human and what does it mean to be a slave? So like why slavery persisted was also because one stronger factors, because they dehumanized, they shift the meaning of a human away from a human being who happens to be an African.
Yeah.
So they see this creature, they say this like this person who is a human being,
And like a creature.
like a creature.
Yeah.
Right? They take away the humanness away from him.
Yeah.
Right? He has all the characteristics of a human being, a Homo sapiens,
Yeah.
whatever. But just the difference is the culture and the color, the language,
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
So they take it away.
Yeah.
So and what influences the shifts in meaning actually like this is because they want to see the world in a certain way. It's to serve certain convenience.
Yeah.
So when they shift the meaning of, I think maybe I've not seen an exception yet, but most of the shifts in meaning is because of convenience. Like they want to serve a certain political agenda, a certain end.
Yeah.
So that with slavery, you shift the meaning away from African human being, and they say, oh, because he's black or because he's yellow or because he's certain features, right, he's less of a human, so he deserves to be treated like a slave.
Yeah.
So he has certain level of intelligence, but only enough intelligence to do certain menial functions.
It's very interesting. I was watching a documentary about this. You know what was their determining factor? What was the beginning of the reason of why they said that Africans or the black people, like what I know, I don't know about other race, but the Africans were considered subhuman or less intelligent, was because they did not have buildings in Africa. Architecture. So they said because they are not developed, they don't have high-rise buildings, they don't have this kind of construction like what our city does, and so because of that, they are not advanced. They have not reached our advancement, of the one. So they created the separation based on infrastructure of the society. But the reasons of why the Africans did not have high-rise buildings, they had their reasons why, and they just destroyed that whole. You don't have, and because of that, they enslaved these people lah. And it's mad lah. I was watching a documentary about this. It was so interesting. Yeah.
So they have a different paradigms. That's why they don't have those buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
It tends to be the case.
Yeah, and this happens like when words have no meaning, loses its meaning. These possibilities of crazy stunts that are happening could come in,
Yep. Yeah. Just had a thought about that. So shifts in meaning will always happen because of some political agenda. Or some like disenfranchised people wanting something, and then their way and their means of getting their rights or their power or whatever it is that is due to them might not be the most best advice. Or sometimes it is. So for example, changes in laws about women's voting rights, for example, or even like slavery being abolished and then all races being equal and all that. There has to be certain changes in meanings of words and changes in the laws for these political shifts and movements to occur.
happen
Yeah. So sometimes, so like a tool like the internet, there can be the shifts in meaning can be good. Sometimes can be for the bad.
Correct.
So like shifts in meaning, for example, like in the usury-based system or the interest capitalist system, usury is flat out condemned and banned in all religions. At least the Abrahamic religions.
For sure.
I dare say, I have not like done my research, but I dare say also like most even non-Abrahamic religions as well, usury is condemned. Sexual deviancy outside the family, blah blah blah, is also condemned across all religions. But all these things are like in the modern world, they are shifted around only because of certain people desiring something, where they see these laws or these words, these meanings, structures and all that getting in the way. So they just shift the meanings.
I think it's quite interesting that you brought up usury because like in my perspective, like from how I've like studied usury, I realized that one of the beginning phases of real change in society under the perspective was when they introduced usury into the society, because like usury was actually something which all society didn't like even like Shakespeare had a piece on it, T.H. Lawrence also had a piece on it, and it's something which, and I'm sure a lot of other poets and like influential people like had something against usury, but right now by just changing the word from usury to interest, it plays a huge impact in how people feel towards it, and I actually wanted to go here also, is that you like why some people call like Islamic banking a Trojan horse is because of this very reason, because they change the word. It's like from interest they change the word to hiba, give, from riba they change the word to hiba, but actually it's the same thing, but it's just like because words have such an important factor in how we define things, that it affects even people's beliefs, perspective, and it's so important to be able to attach ourselves to right meanings, right?
So you mentioned Shakespeare, like Shakespeare also said a rose by any other name is also still a rose, right, in a sense. So these shifts in meaning usually happen just like it's not just shifts in meaning, but also sometimes replacing words with similar meanings or close to those meanings to replace those undesirable words. So you use the word interest to replace usury, commissions, fees, admin fees, management fees, all these kind of things. And usually shifts in meaning happen because like they, like I mentioned, certain people who feel disenfranchised or they want to go after certain new political reality, you want to create a new political reality. Those who are disempowered, they want more power. They start by shifting the meanings, and they will find ways and means to exploit human interest, human needs, and selfish interests to offer choices to people. And then from there, they make those choices whereby it will eventually lead to the facilitation of these changes in meaning overall.
Which they desire lah. And it can come from many possibilities right?
So like a person who wants to ask for a loan, typically they will not want to ask for a loan from someone who charges very high interest rates. Right. Ideally, maybe from their own friends and family, which usually won't charge interest at all. But usually, why people would go after those choices which are damaging to them in the longer term, as opposed to going after the long-term gains, is because of this, like the desperation, the need. People not being able to see the long-term picture, or they can see the longer picture, but they just like, because in this current moment is very dire, a lot of people will actually just choose whatever is the most convenient now, to resolve the situation as fast as possible. So these like marketers, people who do advertising, and people who construct all these different products and services, they will try to cater to the human needs. So this thing also, like knowledge of the human needs, can be both a good and can be used for good and bad ends as well.
And I realize that lah. I realize like that's why it's so interesting, like when we understand that, like this idea of realizing the human self can be, it's like the Jedi lah, right? That he knows he has an option to become the dark side, or he has an option to become the bright side, the Jedi, right? He can be the Sith, or he can be the Master Jedi, right? he reaches this point of his life that he has to come make that choice lah, right? And realizing that there's two possibilities, you know, there's these people who use his knowledge for bad causes, and then there are also people who use this knowledge for good causes, right? And be able to understand that everything in life is actually like a means or a tool by which you are supposed to choose the best of you lah. You know what I'm saying?
You brought up Star Wars, right? So kind of interesting because of course obviously I kind of used to like Star Wars. Now I just like
not so
after the last movie. But one critique I have about the Star Wars now, right, is yes, it's good that they also like sort of teach or convey the concept of the light side and the dark side, like a certain power or a certain ability or tool can be used for good or evil. But at the same time, and you are aware of that, but at the same time they also don't like sort of promote the idea that the masses, the non-force sensitive people, the non-Jedi, the non-Sith, can also have the ability to actually know and recognize all this manipulation. So like in the first 3 episodes of Star Wars, I'm going to the Star Wars geeks, like only a few people actually suspect what Palpatine was doing when he was Chancellor. I'm not sure if you follow this. Yeah. Only a few people suspect it, you know, but they also like not able to really confirm whether this person is suspicious or not. When he start to ask for more powers, manufacture all those clones and take over the galaxy. So like there has to be certain level of widespread education and awareness building amongst everyone, in a sense. Different people will take in education differently. That's for sure. But at least the basic things that should be in every person's being repertoire of skills or knowledge, right? As much as like English, math, science, all this stuff, is the ability to think critically.
For sure.
Critical thinking.
For sure. Because we'll create robots lah.
Just robots for the whole capitalist system lah.
And I think that's the thing which some people say, we are being done that lah, you know. Everyone is another brick on the wall lah.
Everyone is another brick on the wall, caught in the machinery.
And I think that's why like it's so important for us to like to really know what we are doing in our life. Because like see something so like people for me lah, prior to that, I think, or maybe most of the listeners will agree, like we don't see like how like something so simple which you are doing, which is the internet. You know, like not you're not doing the internet, but you are connected to the internet in what you do. That, and you realize that how this is so, and it's so directly impactful in our life, right? And if one is not cautious or knows how impactful it is in our life, it can really shift and like change and manipulate us to be who we are not, right? Right. And I think this is and it can even change how we define words, right? If you are not cautious about how these things are done, what it could be really through marketing and through like ads and through like how you search and also they can manipulate you to believe things which you will not naturally believe, you know. And that's such a scary thought lah, you know. For me, I find that scary, and that's why like being critical thinkers is so important. Like even it also affect how you think about the internet, you know, how you act in the internet. Would you agree to that?
I would argue it is scary if you're not well armed. Right? So when you encounter something you fear, if you're well armed and prepared for that, then it's not much to be feared about, just something to be careful about. So it would be scary for the part that those who are aware, for the people who are not that aware. So you can be afraid for maybe the younger generations, the children and all that. But at the same time, it is a responsibility for us with more like the more awareness or more knowledge or more skills to educate those with.
How would you educate your next generation? Let me finish. I just close the thing up. We start with that lah. But the udang tak masuk.
Nanti tak.
Just close lah. Recording.
Recording.
Double check.
Just check it.
Check it.
Yes.
Okay.
10 minutes here.
Yeah.
So how
would you educate the future generation from your perspective, like about these kind of things?
There's no easy answer for that, because it requires a certain access to power, policies, and outreach, mass outreach.
No, for your own children lah.
Okay, yes, for my own children, of course, it's in terms of like how much control I have to give them access to the internet. What is the curriculum I want to teach them? So, and by the way, I'm homeschooling my children also.
Yeah.
And how we plan the syllabus and how we plan the curriculum to teach them the homeschooling stuff. And basically starting from there, controlling the access to
so
media.
how do you do that now? Like, what's your steps? What's your curriculum in your perspective? Like, ideally lah, maybe do like
we have to look at like the level of where they are now. So right now it's just basics, getting the basics of language, mathematics, like interacting and educating around the world. But when they reach a certain level where they start to think beyond things, think at a slightly different level, then that's where we start the foundations of critical thinking. One thing is limiting the access to the media is one thing, but also at the same time you need to use the media to also like teach them the critical thinking.
Exactly.
So like we can show them.
You don't want to put them into underneath like katak bawah tempurung, keep them there, and then when they come out,
the frog in the well.
The frog in the well lah, and then you take it out, and then they like shocked by whatever they see,
It has to be a gradual process, and having a lot of interaction with the outside world is very important. So like Sayyidina Ali said, I believe Sayyidina Ali said, the first 7 years of your child's life, treat them as a king. That means whatever wishes they want, you give them within reason. Then the next 7 years, treat them as a servant. You give them more tasks and responsibilities. Then the next 7 years, treat them as a friend, companion. So we have to like sort of follow that kind of recommendation.
It's very interesting that you put it that way lah. Like I think people sometimes, I feel this is one of my transition or learning curves as a parent, is that sometimes like unknowingly like you want your child to be like an adult. And to adult, and you realize like you get angry because alamak, why this child like is doing crazy things or wrong things, but you are an adult, and now you are putting like adult expectations on a guy who is on a kid that is just learning the world, and I think this is one of the things that I learned lah. I realized I cannot do that. They are kids, how they see the world is different, how they understand it is different. They are not lying, they just see innumerable possibilities.
Everything is very fascinating.
Everything is fascinating for them, And then when we treat them like adults and don't give them and everything is like we limit their possible expressions, or we don't treat them like a king, which they are supposed to be,
So that's another connotation to that. Treating them like a royalty also means when they do mistakes, you advise them rather than like. You don't scold the king, you advise the king.
Exactly.
What's the wiser way to do things?
Exactly.
Then when you treat them as a servant, of course, in the sense that not as how a bad master would treat a slave,
exactly.
but more like how the good people like tend to treat people under their employ. So you give them responsibilities to do. Then if they don't do something correctly, then just teach them, educate them.
Like a good example would be that how the Prophet took care of his slaves. Like he had slaves, for example. Like the slave will say like he never asked me to do anything, like
almost in that sense.
It's like he never scolded me for anything, So it's so amazing, like that kind of relationship, that you have with that is the kind of relationship that you should have with your children in that sense. You are at that level where you can actually guide them in a way that is always educating. From the start, it follows on. And I think that's so interesting lah, to understand that how we have a good example like the Prophet as a role model of parenting in a sense. How he took care of his children, how he took care of his children, and how he even treated his slaves, how he treated his wives. It's such an interesting atmosphere lah. Right? I think and then I think that's something we all like today. I didn't know you homeschool your kids. Like I just knew.
Just decided like a couple of months ago.
I see. From
last year we decided. Then but we like actually started like end of last year.
I see. So any like specific schools of thought that you guys are looking at?
We're still navigating also.
I see. Yeah. I think like Singapore, the homeschooling environment actually getting quite big lah. Yeah. But it's interesting. I think your kids are in Thailand now, right?
Yeah. So there's a different like set of requirements and systems there.
Yeah, I see. Is it like harder there or easier there?
It's a bit looser. But we just got the certification or something from the government.
I see, to approve your homeschooling thing. And I think this is one thing I share, like, you know, like for me, like my wife just asked me recently, you know, so she be part of the homeschooling group also in Singapore, right? And then she asked me like, they always ask us, they say always ask yourself like, why do you want to homeschool your kids? You know, like this intention lah, they always renew your intention and ask yourself like, what is the reason that you are homeschooling kids lah? So she asked me that question, I haven't replied her yet. So now probably is my reply. So one of the reasons like is this lah, you know, to be able to give them avenues where they can be free lah, you know, to give them the education, the things, because we recognize, I mean for me growing up, the difficulties that I went through, and then the things that I've learned about what our current society is doing and how the limitation is, and then you know is how so easy manipulated, yeah, we are, you know, and then to protect them in that sense from the environment, and to be able to give them the tools by which they will, when they are ready, be able to look at these tools in the world and not be enslaved by them, you know.
I mean, without invalidating also like people who still go through the typical school systems. To me, I'm not sure about you also. It's just a more direct way of controlling certain factors, certain negative factors that happens in schools. So I do remember in my schooling life, I go through some negative experiences, but I don't know how to process it, and I don't know how to communicate it to my parents. Even if you might have parents who are very, very good at eliciting communication from you, you can sense you. There will be certain things you won't share with the parents. But if you are aware, if you as a parent you're aware what's going on, so you know how to handle it, right? But of course, there's both pros and cons for both sides lah. It's just like for me, it's just a more direct way of like controlling the environment in a sense. So from the environment, they will, if you can control the environment, then that's where they are nurtured and grow from there. And like some people or some might think, what about social life? You know, like how do we make friends? So for me, my kids in Bangkok, they have neighbors, so they always interact with neighbors. They have cousins, so they always play with the cousins. And they have the community there, the masjid. Our masjid there also have a lot of friends to play with. And that's very interesting for me, because when I was talking to the pastor, the previous one, and that was what I was like going back lah to realizing, like I believe for me the foundational education that every human being should have is what you referred to just now, one of it lah. It's like it's critical thinking lah. And to have critical thinking is to be able to like know important elements of life. Like you don't get swayed by when people tell you what success is. You don't get swayed. You are so firm in that foundational perspectives of life that when you do enter the world, in that sense, you are able to control these things, elements around you. You're not dependent on it, you know. And I mean, and then I think that is, I think one of the interesting that we let here lah, you know, like how like we started from the internet and we let it to children and stuff like that, because this is it, man. Like I realized that a lot of things, like I share a lot of things with many people in common, but then when we don't talk to people and then we don't explore such ideas together, like you realize that, hey, you know, like you get to realize that you can learn from a lot of people. Like and this is one of the experiences like, you know, like I learned so much more about this whole internet thing, you know, like how this is actually something which is we use so much but we know so little, you know. Right. It's in that way, and then you learn about it, so you there's so much more that I do not know, but at least you are trying, you know. And what do you think about that? See, any field you pursue, any field of study you want to like sort of learn more about, can also actually teach you about life. So one of the aspects of the internet that also part of my job is search engine optimization. So like how to get websites to be at the top of search results when people search for something. that gives me
It works,
access.
it works.
Thanks. that gives you access to exposure to audience, you know, because it is one of the like powerful ways to get into people's minds in a sense. So let's say someone is searching for Islam, right? And then the results that come out, or like all these extremist websites that come out, or all these Islamophobic websites that come out. Right? If you know SEO, of course, I mean the reality now is not like that. Like Google is kind of fairly balanced, lah. Right? But if you know SEO, let's say there's a controversial term. Let's say you're a marginalized group of people, and then when people Google, all these negative websites about you come up, right? If you know SEO, you can manipulate those results. You can put up all those positive or more fair, balanced websites to be shown on top, and then you can manipulate, you can sway and shift people's emotions and shift people's perspectives from there. Because people place a certain authority to Google, to search engines, and when you like ride on that authority, you can also shift their perspective.
I guess that's where you're saying like you are a master over it, something like that.
Yeah, so to know this skill set. So what I'm saying that even by learning this specific skill set, which is a very specified skill set, there's a specific set of skills you need to learn. It also teaches you about life, because the way I do it, right, there's a certain algorithm. So Google's algorithm is very mysterious, but based on trial and error, like scientific tests by people in the SEO industry, we tend to know how to actually rank a Google on the top. So there are certain factors. So one factor is like content on the site. I'm just putting very simplistically, content on the site, how many links the website gets, all of these things. And by going through this process of learning and experimenting, you actually learn about life. Like life, like you want to succeed in life, you want to get something, you got to learn the rules of the game. You want to win the game, you got to learn the rules of the game. But doesn't mean you stick to the rules, you always succeed 100% of the time. There will be failures, there will be losses. Right, so it teaches you lah. So like sometimes I want to rank a website. Sometimes I need a certain time, like 6 months, 1 year to rank the website, but the website just doesn't want to move to the first page, or rather, even though I know it works in other cases. Right? So sometimes like one situation will not apply to others.
I see.
So you just pursue any kind of learning, pursue any kind of skill set, like videography, filmography, how you plan the story, how you storyboard, how you edit the things together. So there will always be something that will teach you about life from every skill that you want to do.
Amazing, that's right. I think that's something that we all can take back from, man. Like, and I think that is such a liberating thing too, you know, like to know that whatever career you're doing, if you can find should find some like meaning to it, lah. You know how it teaches you about life, you know. You know, and it makes you much happier, lah. You know, you not be mundane, you know. Like it's interesting, that you put that out there.
And I like there were certain times I had to do a bit of programming. So in my work, web programming. So even like learning how to program, learning how to code, it can be a spiritual experience. So like it's not in the sense macam matrix or what. I tried to recall one experience. I had this thought that come to my mind. I was like trying to figure out how to solve this problem. I was programming the website to react in a certain way. Then there's a bug. Then the thing the reaction just doesn't come out. So there's supposed to be a pop-up form or something. I just figured out how to find out and all these things. Then when I found the answer, like I realized that the answer came to me in an inspirational way. So like sometimes the answers can come to you after a while. Like you have to sort of take a break, give your logical mind a rest. Then the answer can come to intuitively. And you can have spiritual experiences in almost everything, as long as you're aware, as long as you're more mindful, and you keep this awareness in mind. And I think I told you, like one time we were doing a website project, and I was trying to figure out how to put all this data into a certain arrangement, right? Then I just almost give up, then just relax, just listen to Quran or something. Then I was in the car, like in the traffic jam or something. Then the answer just literally come to my mind while listening to the Quran in the car.
Wow.
Then I straight away sit down and just type out the whole coding thing, and it works. The solution works.
Wow.
So any experience can be like a
intuitive,
potentially spiritual experience.
For sure. And I think like some you I think how much of it you realize is how, I would say, like how aware you are, lah. There's so many times where it's actually happening, but you don't realize it, you know, sometimes. But I guess you're more aware of these kind of things you are, the more this kind of moments arrive to you. Right?
I would say also like as you build up this awareness, you also have to be aware that you have blind spots. You have you still have a lot to work on. You still have a lot of limitations to work on. So it is a gradual. Life is about a gradual
growth,
increasing,
or decreasing.
Growth.
Because I realize it's never static. Like like you cannot be like one moment stalemate. It's either you're going down or going up. It's like a stock market in that sense,
Actually, when you're static, you're going down. There's no
exactly. Exactly.
Maybe you're dead, then you're static. I guess.
Because that's why we feel like personally for me, like I do feel the drop of like iman, or like drop of this kind of not iman lah, we like say consciousness. Like there's a movement of my consciousness. Sometimes some days when I know that I bit lax, and then you can feel the next day it drops, But when you pick it up, then you can feel it goes up, I think that's one of it lah. It's never static, it's always like moving.
And we also gotta like be a little bit easy on ourselves sometimes also. So like there's a balance. One, you have to be aware of what your limitations are, and aware that okay, this is you just making an excuse. You actually want to go after this, but then why is the thing stopping you? You're just making an excuse, man. If you really like have an honest talk to yourself. But at the same time, be forgiving. Like you talk to them, you talk to yourself not in a like rough way. Oh, you are loser, are you? But also like in a loving way, like hey bro, actually like you talk to yourself like your own bro. Hey bro, actually to be honest, I tell you that the reason why you cannot go after that one is because it's your own excuse. You procrastinate, or you didn't like
do it nicely.
So that's certain balance. You're honest to yourself, but at the same time like still can be kind to yourself.
I think that's what Imam Shadili said. There's all a lot of school masters, they say that they like sometimes you can be harsh, sometimes you can be nice, and if you're in the beginning phase, be nice. When you are later on, that's where you can be more, when you are more, you have like more strength in yourself, for example. Then there are times when it needs harshness, there are times when it needs softness. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I had this conversation with you lah, like this all the time we meet, we probably discuss most of the time about the website lah. There was one time about the corona. You remember when it first came? Like we were discussing how about this, and they said have you changed your perspective on that, or you are still the same?
I also don't know. I have no idea. I give up already.
I also give up, man.
No, like, but it's, that's another point. Like, sometimes you gotta like choose your battles. People are very strongly opinionated about corona being a conspiracy or not conspiracy, whatever. Does it really matter to my life? I don't know, man. Like,
okay, for a while it mattered to me. For me, for a while, like honestly, for a while, it was like I cannot understand how some people are thinking, and they also cannot understand how the hell I was thinking, about it. Then I realized like, why am I getting so stressed about it? It's because I realize they cannot understand the way I'm looking at it. They cannot understand my data, and I definitely, but I understand how they think lah. How I understand how they reach there, but they never understood how I look. Then I realized to myself like, fine lah. Like nothing I say or do will change anything.
Exactly.
So just let it be lah. But sometimes just to share you like some points, you have this lah.
About that, it's like. We have to pick our battles. We have to choose our battles, right? Sometimes you have to have an agreement with people. So in certain situations, you have to influence people to your way of thinking, or maybe find a compromise in between. So it's about agreement. It's not really about who is right, who is wrong. Right. So like the foundation of both sides should be, what is the actual situation here? Can we both critically look at it authentically and sincerely? Okay. So what outcome would be the best and most ideal for both of us? Okay. How can we both sides approach the outcome together? Right? That would be the best way to
That's the best way.
Rather than like trying to influence, my way is the best way. You see myself, you see my view first, and then we go there. So it have to be like a win-win situation.
Exactly. And then that's about compromising lah. But then you have to like, in that sense, compromising each other's ideas. Find that synthesis in that sense. Will you do that?
Synthesis, not really synthesis of ideas, more like synthesis of solutions, synthesis of approach. Okay. So you can hold to your idea, I can hold to my idea, but let's say
center ground
certain
center grounds. Okay, I see. Understand. Yeah, I think that common ground is so important lah. So that actually the world can function in a sense. If not, we cannot, human beings to human beings cannot find common grounds. Like everything breaks down lah. Everything will be destroyed.
There's a lot of like how to say. I lost my word for that, but it's something also along these lines. there's a lot of arguments and polarization about different views,
Yeah.
especially now more than before.
Yeah.
So like, is the capitalist way of life the right way? Is it, or should we lean more towards socialist? Or should we be for traditional family values, or should we be more liberal? Is LGBT the right thing or not, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Should we repeal 377A, all these kind of things? The main thing is that the foundation is there should be dialogues first. There should be at least not just dialogue, but at the same time the sincere want and need to understand the critical, the objective situation,
Yeah.
and the others viewpoint and how they arrive towards that viewpoint.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if it's absent in any one of the parties, then it's not a workable solution.
For sure.
Yeah. And we cannot expect like the other party or us will actually like come to an agreement
Yeah.
of the same idea, but at least a workable solution.
Yeah. And you can give the benefit of a doubt lah in that sense also, because you know how the processes they came to that idea, but then you understand how they arrived there, and then you can also admit the fact I could also think like that lah actually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you empathize or you sympathize with the person's perspective in that sense, right?
So like a lot of arguments are actually very hypothetical. Like we are very we want to fight about should we have a universal basic income?
Yeah.
Oh, this universal basic income is a slippery slope towards communism and tyranny. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
Actually, no. You're just talking about people you want to help people who may have fallen on hard times. They need salary. So the universal basic income can offer solution.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean like you offer this thing suddenly you become a communist state.
I think one thing people have the problem is that, I mean, not especially in our time, or human being characters in general, I don't know, I might be wrong in this, but I think definitely a human being in our time, we have this very prevalent, is that we have this dialectic perspective. It's either one side or the other side, you know, A or B, you know, but it's not like that. No, the whole, it's not just black and white. It's so many